I'm just going to push play.
Whether it be character or attitude or sales potentially or creative, whatever it is, just kind of makes you appreciate sometimes the opportunity that you have, and just kind of get out of work mode and get into kind of just think mode a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of a refreshing break from work. It's kind of a refreshing break from work to kind of just hear whatever's inspiring somebody else. So we created a place to do that, and Frank does a really good job. So most of the time he drives that, but it's open to the public. So if there's ever a subject that you want to talk to, then this is a forum to be able to do that. So,
Yeah, without further ado, first of all, this is going to be a very small part. I'm just going to use it so you let's do visualization. I'm going to talk about, I'm going to tell you a story that I think you've already heard. But it's kind of important that you get the perspective of where it's at. And I found some cool video. So this does not apply at this moment. We'll get to that in just a minute. I'll be a short snippet of that. Secondly, I'm at a huge disadvantage and I'm mildly retarded, so I don't know names. You know, I don't remember.
Dare not.
I know you as FIFA that I named you, so I named him FIFA. I played FIFA football, and so I was wearing football gear, but actually I don't remember. Dan, and then I have no idea. Caitlin, right? And she's like, hey, did the top golf when you were there for 3 hours. I don't remember. I'm terrible. I won't remember.
what are they, Grecos? Is that what they're called?
Grecos.
I love Grecos.
What's Pete, when we were golfing on Saturday, was trying to make it a point. Whose name I lost somebody, he's like, I don't know who that is. And he goes, oh, well, you probably know who so-and-so is. So I don't know who that is either. Where is Oxford? I can't remember anybody's name. So those of you that have not been here before, I'm going to start off by saying, as I've said this before, is that I don't have any of the accolades that you probably wish that I did, have someone stand up in a group of people and deliver a message. I haven't been to the Olympics. I haven't been to the moon. I'm not paraplegic who learned how to walk yesterday. I don't own multi-million-dollar companies that didn't get an arm cut under a rock and saw it off and sew it up. I've been on a talk show. I've been famous. I'm going to be. I can fold up my net worth. Which you probably shouldn't be able to fold your net worth in half, but I can, okay? I just have a different perspective on things. Apparently, I have a knack for delivering them, and I'm wired a little bit differently, and I have the ability to share some of that. And at the same time, I come from a strange place. I'm from Alaska, and I have some stories that are able to be poignant. However, having said that, one thing I'm very adept at is failure. I've done a lot of it. And I'm going to talk about that today, and I realized I was thinking earlier, I don't really have anything to deliver today, and there's a reason for that. And that is that I'm very well versed in failing. And I'm not as prepared as I would like to be. I had somebody who was going to come in and share something with us that was kind of off topic. Or not off topic, but that was different. We had to cancel that, so I wasn't as prepared. And that's kind of a theme with me. And I think it's probably a thing that we all struggle with sometimes. It's not just failure in general, but why. And at the end of this, when we talk about takeaways, what the takeaway should not be is, we're not talking about the workspace here. Okay, and what I'm going to talk about specifically today is goals and decisions, and how they're important, how they're related, and my falling downs on them remarkably. But I want to talk about goals and decisions in the workplace. And the reason for that is that there's an automated process there that's in place. You see, the difference between what we do here, the functions that we have when we walk in this building, and the functions outside of this building, are that you have to do a certain task, you have to have a certain performance level, whatever that is, in any work environment. The only business I know of that you can show up and literally not do anything all day long for weeks at a time is the car business. And it's true. You can show up as a salesperson and be out back smoking and eating lunch all day, day after day after day, and you'll keep your job. The car guys are very hard to fire. As long as you somewhere in the month sell a couple of cars, usually you still got a job the next month. And literally, I've done it, I've seen it, and you just don't do anything. Other than that environment, you typically have to do things. So when we talk about setting goals, when we talk about goals, having goals in the workplace, a lot of that's built in. It's just built in. You have to do a certain amount. It doesn't matter whether it's sales or banking or what you're doing. There's things that you have to do. And setting goals and doing goals in the work environment helps you. It gets you to the next level. Sometimes it's very, very important. We do a lot of it back there in the bunker. Sales does a lot of it because there's a certain amount of tasks that are available you have to get done. And basically it makes sense to have some sort of approach to that. And that approach usually entails setting goals. Doing those, taking it to the next level, doing more sales, making more money, growing, those type of things involve a different set of goals. But again, they're inherent to the workplace. They're inherent to the job. They're inherent to be successful. The thing is that outside of that, you don't ever have to do anything in life. You don't even have to do the basics. If you want to live under a bridge, okay, go find a bridge. I've always said that if I ever find any alcohol that tastes as good as just Coca-Cola on ice, I'll probably end up under a bridge with the bag because I love Coca-Cola on ice. And it's funny because I said that to somebody one time. He's like, I had an uncle that literally lived under a bridge. He just checked out for a year. His whole purpose was, I don't want to ever have to do anything. You don't. In the workplace, you have to do something. You're not going to have your job. And what my falling down is this. I have something that I want very much to do in life. And I have a difficult time getting from wanting to do it, to having ability to do it, to having done it before, to having talent, to having those things, and getting to the point of actually doing it. And the gap between having an ability or having a desire or having a passion and actually enacting in that oftentimes is simply a matter of what's the next step, and then what's the next step, and then what's the next step. And when you sit down, if we were to sit down, and Raphael said to me, I want to learn how to fly. Now, I don't know anything about flying, but I'm imagining that brain trust in this room could sit down and put together a list of items that would say, okay, if you want to learn how to be a pilot, here's what you do. Here's the first thing. Second thing, third thing. Probably got to go to ground school. Probably got to find a guy that knows something about ground school. Probably got to find a place to do that. We can figure that out. So if it's that simple, I'm not talking about y'all, or about me. If it's that simple, I can sit down and I can put those things. How come it is that the same thing that I wanted to do, and it makes no difference what it is. So for now, it will remain unnamed. How come it is that it's so difficult to get from I want to be a pilot, to being a pilot? Well, the number one excuse of that, and probably, there's two that everybody will throw out there and automatically comes to mind. It's time and money. It's time and money. The problem with that is that time is a value statement. So in other words, if I told you for a fact that all you had to do was figure out how to get to downtown New York, and you had to do it in the next 30 days, and there was $1 million sitting there, every single person here would be downtown New York in 30 days. There's no possible way that you would say, I have the time and money. You'd figure it out. And if I told you you had to do that, and you had to keep your job, and you had to take care of your family, probably could do that too, right? So, in my own failings, again, something I want to do. What happens is, for me, is that, and what I think the breakdown is in between setting and achieving goals is that you have to realize, or I had to realize, that every single day we make thousands of decisions. In the workplace, a lot of those are built in and canned, and we get to bounce them off of, and somebody gets to say, good idea, bad decision, good decision, don't do this way, tweak, blah, blah, blah. Again, it's a structured environment. When I'm at home, sitting on my couch, or I'm driving home, and I'm like, I have this option, I have this option, I have this option. I don't have that. So when you're in that situation, when you're in that environment, and you're in your own, there is no. Again, you don't have to do anything. There's no decisions that are forced. The clock is not ticking. It's ticking to go back to work, but that's it. For me, what I realized, and I like to think back. I like to think back about experiences that I've had and things that I've gone through to try to give a life lesson out of it. And I had a life lesson a while back that brought this into focus extremely sharply for me. And it's a lesson that I have forgotten. That lesson was, Goals, getting to a goal or getting to a desire or taking the next step is affected dramatically by the decisions that you make, because in reality, at the end of the day, every decision, you've heard this before, every decision that you make either gets you closer to or farther away from where it is that you want to be. It's very rarely that you're making a decision about doing something that keeps you in the middle. And I'm not talking about you gotta eat food, we gotta get gas in our car, or tasks and goals are separate. What I'm talking about is I'm headed home and I have the option to meet a friend, which is a good thing to do, especially this guy I'm gonna meet. He's a great guy. One of these days he may be in this office. We worked with him before, great guy, buddy of mine named Pete Hunt. There's nothing bad about me and Pete Hunt hanging out. But that decision is going to lead to some other things. None of them are bad. None of them. I'm not ashamed or whatever it be. I would invite everybody here to do the same things that we did. However, I want to do this, and this is what I really want to do. And when I look at it in terms of good and bad, okay or not, I can make a laundry list of reasons why hanging out with my friend makes absolutely perfect sense. But when I look at it and when I ask myself the simple question of, does it get me closer to or farther away from where I want to be, the answer is, it doesn't seem like it gets you farther away, but it does. And the reason for that is that your ambitions and passions and life goals and things that you really want out of life, outside of here, have a clock on it. We're getting older. They get farther away. The longer you, I think anyone would agree that the longer you wait to enact on an idea, the harder it is to enact. Things change, opportunities change, you get in the habit of waiting, and what happens is it becomes less and less important. If he and I decided that he wanted to be a pilot, and we sat down and I whipped him up into a frenzy about how great it was to be a pilot, and we waited 3 months to act on that, he no longer would be in a frenzy about wanting to be a pilot. Does that make sense? Okay, so for me, what happened was I had an experience once that is it was literally a life and death, make the right decision experience that drug on for about an hour and a half actually. And in this decision, when I got done with this, it was one of those things where in the situation that I was in, it was a situation when you got done with it, it was almost surreal to be in that position, in that situation. And I'm going to tell you this little story about what happened to me, and it's a perfect example of how decisions, you either get closer to or farther away from where it is that you want to go. And if you consistently make decisions, you will not make them all the time. It's not possible. It's not possible. If you consistently get in the habit of saying, what can I do today, right now, that is at least one step forward to where I want to go and what I really want out of life, how do I get to that? And you take one step, that one step turns into another step, and pretty soon what happens is you develop an appetite for that. Unfortunately, unlike the situation that I'm not going to show you, but I'm going to tell you about, you don't have to. It's up to you. There's no one there. You're not going to get fired from life. You can't get demoted from life. You can't get a raise in life. Those things aren't there. And we are, especially in the world that we live in, I mean, the United States, if you will, but in the capitalist world, everything about our world that that's a work environment is very, very structured for us. So, but I have to give you a point of view and a perspective so that you understand the situation that I was in. So on there, bring up that. And I want you to first of all play this video. Play this video. Yeah. This is simply all you look at here. This is a helicopter mount. Directly over the rotor blades, you see the white peak up there? This helicopter is simply flying this goods up to a glacier. It's a Nordic ski glacier up to that peak that you see on the right. Okay? I used to work up there on that peak. This is how we got up there. Okay? So we're not going to watch the helicopter do its thing here, but you get a perspective of, I'm in the mountains in a place called Girdwood, Alaska, and I'm not in this mountain that you're seeing there, straight ahead. It's the one that was over there to the right. Okay? We've all seen a mountain before, not much you see there. Go to the other one. That's up there, flying over Eagle Glacier. It's up there in the right-hand corner. And play that video. This will give you a perspective of where I was at. Play the flying over Eagle Glacier. Great. Go ahead and make that large. This is what it looks like. It doesn't look like a glacier because it's a standing glacier. This is literally where I worked. Now, the actual building is not there. But that is the mountains. Those are real, big boy, whoop your ass, middle of nowhere mountains. Okay? I decided one day to leave the building that I was at, and I decided to go hiking up in these mountains. Now, this picture is taken in the middle of June. Okay? Or this is what it looks like in the middle of June. And I decided to go up into one of these peaks that was up here, and I don't know which one it was. And I basically made the choice to climb up the rocks and come down on the snowshoot, or part of the snow. When you're mountain climbing, I don't know if you know this, when you're free fall climbing, going up is not the hard part, it can be. But you have to make sure you can get back down. Okay? So first off, if you're looking at this and you got lost, nobody's going to find you there. Can you imagine trying to find one person that is someplace out there in that expanse? Now, in this situation, being the genius that I am, I went up there and didn't tell anybody where I was going. As a matter of fact, I didn't tell anybody I was leaving. There's only 6 people on this building. What we did was cross-country skiers came up there, and you're looking at this bowl right there. We set ski trails, and they go skiing up in the bowls. And I picked a peak that was way out there in the middle of nowhere, and then that's about the end of that. I picked a peak that was higher, and I said, I want to go to a mountaintop, and I want to stand at the top of a pointy mountain. I want to, Drago! That's what I got to do. I'm ready to go. And I was training for cross-country skiing, so it was good training. So I did. I took off, and I went running up there, and part of the plan, I got up to the top of, or almost to the top of the mountain, and I made a decision. I was like, well, I was literally in a position where I was grabbing rocks and doing pull-ups and things like this. That's not a maneuver you can reverse. Okay? So I said, well, I'm going to, on the other side of this is snow, and I already looked at it, and the snow comes right back around down to the middle part of the mountain, where it's not as steep, and I'll be okay. And I am dressed to me, it was warm, I'm dressed like you are. I got running shoes, shirt, light jacket on, ready to go. It's like the mountain's only that far away, you know? I can run a 6-minute mile any day of the year, so probably 10-minute mile, and I'm up there, band figured it all out, and I'm ready to go. So I get up there, I get almost to the top of the peak, and I go to the snowpack, and I'm going to start climbing down. And this snow is not snow. Again, another genius move of mine. It's ice. It's glacier, crusty ice. And I step on the ice, and I fall. And I slide, not away from the mountain, but down the mountain. And I slide, and then I end up stopping. Well, the original plan was I was going to hike down. I was only going to hike down the snowpack a couple hundred feet. And I was going to just avoid the super steep stuff. The mountain was very steep. I was going to get to the not so steep part of the rock, climb back up the rock, and head back down the same way I could. What happened was I fell and I slid. And the part of the snow that I was on this would represent a rock wall. And it was at least this tall and about that smooth. And the part of snowpack that I was on was about from here to the end of the wall, and it was tilted like this, at about a 30-degree angle. And then it went that way at about another 30-degree angle. So it's pointing down and tilted. And the only reason I stopped, because I stuck my hand in a crack between the ice and the rock, and it grabbed me and stopped me. And it wasn't like sliding out of control, I just sliding could stop. So now I'm up against this sheer cliff that I cannot climb. and I'm on a snowpack that's not snow, and I'm stuck there. Nobody knows where I'm at. No one's coming to get me. No one could find me if they tried, and I don't have time. Because it's 60 degrees right now, and in about 4 hours it's going to be 40 degrees. And I'm just in the mountains. Who knows? And if you've ever been in the mountains, you look up and you're like, cloud. A couple of minutes later, no cloud. A couple of minutes later, fog. A couple of minutes later, it's snow. Mountains create weather. And as you can see from that video, there's a massive expanse of mountains. I'm screwed, basically. So what I had to do was I stopped and I put my hand in. I can't stay there. The crack that my hand is in up against the ice leaves in about 3 feet. And it's just ice smashed up against rock. And the snow, I can dig in the snow about that far. And I don't even want to move. And so I tried to move my feet, and my feet slid. So the only thing I could come up with was I turned sideways, and I literally went down, and I dug little grooves to put my foot in. And I'm talking little tiny grooves in ice. And I moved my foot, and I dug it out. And I moved my foot, and I dug it out. And you gotta be very careful. Once I got past the crack, the only thing holding up were those little grooves. And I'm taking little tiny steps. I'm moving about that far. And the whole time, I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared. I was extremely focused. Can't move. Can't slip. Gotta make sure the thing gets dug. Running out of fingernails. Clawing my way through the thing. One little tiny step. I went about 150 feet. It took me about 2 hours. And when I got there and I got done, I got back on the rock, and I think I kissed the ground. I feel like Columbus getting off the boat. And the thing about that was, the life lesson from that is that every single decision that I made, every single one, go faster, stop, slow down, do I wait it out? You know, no one's going to hear me if I cry. Do I dig? Is the handhold big enough? Is it not big enough? Do I move my foot farther? Can I take bigger steps or smaller steps? Every single one of them, there was only 2 answers. It works or you die. That's it. Because if you die, off the chasm of death that way, and I mean, it's a 2,500 foot drop, 40 feet that way. And this way, same thing. It's just a little snowshoe. There's no ice axe or any of that other stuff. So if I start falling, game over. And the interesting thing about that is that I have this thing personally that I very much want to do. I wanted to do it for a while. And if we were able, in what we really wanted to do in life, is to get out of work mode when we get out of work mode and go, I only want to take one little step. The thing about it is that as we go along in life, we acquire tools and experience and help. We run into other people. In other words, imagine a guy came by and said, hey, here's a pocket knife. I'm not too excited about a pocket knife, but damn straight that's going to make a bigger groove. Okay, now I feel pretty good about making pretty good footholds with a pocket knife. Now you get a little farther and somebody comes by and says, well, here's an ice axe. Well, with an ice axe, you just sit down and you slide down the mountain. Okay? Now, I may not have the balls to do that, but I know I'm not going to fall, so now I got like a safety net. Or somebody else might have come by and said, hey, here's a rope, or let me show you another way. That's what happens in life when you take the little tiny steps to get to where you really want to be. The problem is that we don't ever do that, or we lose track of that, because I'm not saying let me back that off a minute. Me. I do, because I forget about my time in the glacier. And imagine if someone came up to you and said, you either have to do what it is that you want to do, that passion that you have in life, or I'm going to put a bullet in your head. Now, you don't have to do it all day. You just got to move forward every day. You get out of work and be like, okay, what do I got to do right now? Right, yeah, I want to be a rock star. Okay, guitar lessons, whatever it is. I want to be a pilot. The worst case scenario, I got to get like a simulator game or something going on. I think that's important, and the reason I think that's important is this. Because I don't think we were put on this planet to sit at cubicles and call people on the phone and do deals and all this stuff and computers and all that. I think that if that is why we're here, I think you're missing the boat. I think I am. That's not why I'm here. It drives me crazy. I hate going to work. I love my job, I love my people, I like getting paid, I love doing all that stuff, but I don't get up in the morning and go, yay, work. I mean, some of us do. I go, yay, life, I like to do that. But how much time do I spend on that? Not enough. Why? To lose focus of the fact that every decision that I make gets me closer to or farther away. You get so far away from something you can't see it anymore, and that's not where you want to be. That's where I'm at. So I thought about it today. I gotta get back on track. And I was like, I've been thinking about this, how do I get back on track? And I forgot entirely about that. Same way you get down the damn mountain, man. One little step at a time with some focus. Make sense? And that is all I know about shrimp business.
Good job. Real good job. Especially for winging it, man.
Wing it, wing it.
No notes.
Once a story, don't go climbing in the mountains without the right direction.
Yeah. Notes a story. Don't take Frank with you when you go there.
I would have pushed you off a mountain if you were up there. Seriously, like if somebody said to me, "Oh, let's go up to the mountain, we'll climb." I'm not going to be here. Let's see the solve the problem for you. Push you off the mountain because that's what's going to happen.